Week 8 of the Artist Way is done and there's only a few weeks left to go. Recording this video is a tiny bit late only because I have been sick all week and haven't been able to talk for longer than like 30 seconds without having to blow my nose or something like that, but finally feel better, which is good. And for this particular week, I think they always kind of like coincide and stuff anyway, but this week was about recovering a sense of strength, which isn't too bad. Some of the stuff in there was a few extreme with the examples and I didn't really like them too much. But with week 8, the theme of recovering a sense of strength, they had a few different areas they kind of go into. So we've got survival, the ivory power, gain designed as a loss, age and time, and filling the form. So those are the main ones or the main aspects they go through with the chapter. For survival, I think it's around not the whole like struggling artist, but usually with loss or with like a sense of hopelessness in a way, that there is art that you can grab from that, or there is experiences that you can pull and I guess use it as like a therapeutic kind of technique to like get it out there and talk about it and things like that. It's more about turning that feeling into a strength. So whenever there is loss or something that just feels completely out of reach, it's then using that as a strength to then turn into something that can be creative or something that can be artistic. And it's just a medium to express. So, you know, you can create art, or you can, for me, write when you're happy. It's those real-time experiences and those examples that can really fuel inspiration and really help create a character or create more depth in what it is that you are doing, because obviously when it comes from within and when it's that honesty as well, it seems a lot more authentic. And I think that's kind of like where this sort of aspect sort of comes from. And it also talks about it's okay to mourn. So I think that's in a way of, if you create something and you stop halfway through, or you don't like it or want to give up on it, obviously there's two ways to go about it. It's knowing that, you know, you're not happy with it, don't want to do it, that's fine. So just move on, like mourn it and move on. Or there's the other aspect where it's you just using it as a hurdle, or you're just using it as a barrier and then actually try and work through it. So I guess it's understanding those two of like when it comes to, you know, giving something up or mourning it. And then it's always understanding the difference between good criticism and bad criticism. A couple of chapters ago, they kind of talk about what good criticism is. But I think a big thing is obviously with good criticism, it's constructive and it kind of hits that point and be like, you know what, they are right, that I was thinking that exact same thing. And then obviously bad criticism really has that negative impact, like it's unfair or unjust in a way. And again, it's just understanding the differences between those two. With the ivory power, that was just a really interesting like aspect of it. So it talks about the logical side, or like being an academic and understanding that usually through that learning process, it doesn't leave a lot of room for creativity. So it's understanding that sometimes a lot of people that are in those academic pursuits, that they are struggling artists, or they might have a hobby that they gave up on or things like that. It's just understanding that through that, it's not completely lost, that you can rediscover it. And a big thing through that is like competition over encouragement. And I wrote down that point because I really liked it, because obviously in school, everything is score based, right? So you want to be at the top of your class, or you want to get over 80% or whatever it is. And that's what like the norm is. Like you're always competing with each other to be the best or be better than yourself or things like that. Where when it comes to art, it's very much like nurturing, and it's very much like that encouragement to discover and fail and do better and things like that. So if you like fail in like academic studies, it could really put you back. It could really not help you do the course that you want to do, or, you know, go through to the career that you are dreaming about. Whereas when it comes to art and being creative, if you do fail, most of the time that's like a good thing, because you learn from it and be able to move on. And, you know, you do learn that in the academic side of things, but it doesn't, like with that, it has more of like a negative impact on, I guess, your overall like thing that you're studying, rather than it's a bit different when it's on that creative aspect sort of side of things. And another thing as well, so I've never gone to uni for like actual art studies. I've done a creative design course, which I guess can kind of pull from that kind of thing. But one thing it does is if you are doing that academic thing, and I think it's just something that they say to be conscious of, that it teaches you how to analyze art more about how to take it apart rather than put it together. So one thing, I guess, with art theory and things like that, you learn to take it apart. Like I've done film studies and stuff, and you learn to dissect everything, but usually teaching you how to assemble, put things back together is later down the track, or it's not really something they kind of focus on, I suppose. But again, this book was written a very, very long time ago, so things could have changed since then. When it comes to art, or when it comes to being creative, you want to be able to assemble and put things together and make something from it, not like take it apart and dissect and try and figure out the why, I guess, in a way. It's just a different way to kind of have a look at it, or a different perspective on how you see things, and then how you can take from it and then use it as your own. With the gain designed as a loss, and they write here is like art is the act of structuring time. So it's about asking questions like, how can this loss serve me? Where does it point my work? Or you can ask how or what next instead of like, why me? So just say if something happens, or just say if you hate a piece of work that you're doing, or if something stops you from doing it. So instead of doing the whole woe is me, like the world is against me or everything's on my shoulders, it's more about how can I fix this, or what can I do next to make it better. I think it's just more about having that positive like outlook rather than the negative outlook, like the optimistic versus like the pessimistic. And when it says like art is the act of structuring time, like it's about having that time and allowing yourself for that time to be able to do the things that you want to do. And I know for me, time's always the biggest thing. Like I'll get caught up doing like housework, I'll get caught up doing like a previous task, whatever it is. And I had it a few weeks ago with my art estate. Like I left it till last, which was a bad idea, and didn't give myself enough time. But it's more about understanding that if I do lose time, then how can I do better next time? Or if I don't like a piece of writing that I'm doing, then how can I make it better for next time? It's just more about trying not to dwell on why it couldn't happen, and think more about how can I do it better next time, or what can I do next time. So I'm really trying to like have that outlook for myself, because I can overthink and I can dwell and I can get caught up in the being like down on myself, I think. And then it's just remembering that yes, you can have those moments, but don't spend too much time on it, I think is a big thing. With age and time, and I think I've always heard this one, it's like, so being an older student isn't always a bad thing. And they just talk about it's never too late to start. It's never too late to, I don't know, be a director. It's never too late to be like a photographer, like all those kind of things, right? And sometimes having the wisdom or having this perspective of a few years under your belt can be a good thing. It brings new ideas. It brings a different perception and how you view reality and how you view the world. And you shouldn't have to worry about age being negatively impacting your creative pursuits. It's use that as like a good thing. Use that wealth of knowledge that you have to then be able to, you know, for me, like I'm 36, so I might have a bit more experience than someone who might be writing at the age of 25, and I might be able to use those 10 extra years that I've learnt things, or, you know, learnt about people and emotions and all that kind of stuff, and I might be able to create something better, or might be able to create something just as good. And it's just remembering that it's not too late. I still have a wealth of things that I can use and do, and I just have to remind myself that I just have to keep going through the motions and keep showing up and doing the work, and just trust the process, I think is a big thing. Another thing about this, like creativity occurs in the moment, it's almost timeless. So again, it's all about perception. So when you're creating, you're in the here and now. It's not about the past, the future, all that kind of thing. So if you are older, it's about what you're creating now, not about what you could create or what you can create. It's about what you're creating now. And I said it just a bit before as well, but it's not focusing on the length of the trip. It's just focusing on the journey of it, because like I said, like I do want to write a book. So if it takes me 3 years, don't focus on the fact that it could take me 3 years. Just focus on the process and making sure I'm doing the work and showing up and things like that. That whole one day at a time aspect. So try not to get overwhelmed. And sometimes I'll write a big like list of everything I need to do in one day. Like I did it today, and it's just like so many things on there, and it's overwhelming and it doesn't make you want to do anything. Or what I'm really trying to do is just focus on one thing at a time, knock it off, and just don't get overwhelmed by all the things that I need to do. Just do one thing at a time and see how I go towards the end of the day. And maybe that will be better rather than just getting sidetracked all the time or things like that. What else did I write here? It's the attention in the final/finished product that ignores the fact that creativity lies not in the done, but in the doing. So I think for me, I try, like I want to obviously finish something, like I want to finish what I start, all that kind of thing, but I got to remember it's the doing. I've got to be focused on the doing part and not like when I'm done, not put like the book or whatever it is I want like on a pedestal, and just make sure that I am walking up those steps slowly, like I said, doing the work, showing up, that kind of thing. It's the fixation on the need to show something for our labors, and it's about removing the ego about that. So you'd be like, I spent all this time doing this thing, here's my amazing piece of thing that I've done. So I think it's just about not worrying about that, I guess, not wanting or needing the validation or the praise or anything like that at the end of the day, like just removing that whole ego aspect and just, again, enjoying the process and enjoying the journey, and just not letting that end product overwhelm or get in the way of what it is that you want to do. The last one of that particular point was the beginner's humility and openness leads to exploration, which leads to accomplishment. So again, it's about being humble and being okay with starting from scratch, or being okay with not knowing much, and being okay with failing and all that kind of thing. And it's just about being okay being a beginner, because that's where you get the most joy out of that. You know, they always talk about how it's okay to be a beginner and not know all the answers, and discover along the way. The next part was filling the form, and it's like, again, all these kind of themes. So filling the form, I think, must be an old school thing of, you know, with job cards, you used to have the form, fill it out every day, like get it stamped or whatever it is. It's just about that daily work and that daily progress. So like I've been saying, it's just about showing up daily, doing the thing, doing the work. There is always one action that you can take for creativity daily. The daily action commitment fills the form. So I know sometimes I've got my calendar, it looks beautiful, it's all nice blocked out, it's all color coded, but sometimes something beforehand will go over time, and then just say, for example, my writing block is reduced from an hour to like 40 minutes. And then I'll be like, well, I've only got 40 minutes, like do I even bother? And then I worry for the next like 10, 20 minutes, and then I've only got 20 minutes left. And it's just about not worrying about that time block too much. Even if I get 2 sentences, that's better than nothing at all, right? So it's about having that commitment, even if it's only a little bit, just to show up and write and do the work. And I've read a book by Stephen Pressfield, The Art of War of Art. I think it's behind me somewhere. And again, that's very much like the same mentality of showing up, doing the work daily, and it'll come. Like it's the whole, you know, build it and they will come, Field of Dreams kind of scenario. And it's just, I've got to remember that 10 minutes is still better than no minutes whatsoever, and don't worry about my time blocks being perfect and getting in 1,000 words within that time frame, or getting in 500 words within that time frame. If it's 2 sentences, it's 2 sentences. That's way better than not even trying in the first place. Another thing I like about this particular one is by setting jumps too high and making the price tag too great, it is defeat in motion. And I said this before about putting things on a pedestal. It almost makes it like you can't grab it, you can't touch it, you can't get anywhere near it. And I think it's just about baby steps, and it's just about making these like little goals to reach potentially, rather than having this whole big finish thing. And again, it's reminding that you can't do it all in one swoop. You can't change in one complete go. It's like these slow steps that kind of do that, and all of a sudden you finish. You've done the thing that you needed to do. And yeah, I just got to remember, like, although this is a big goal that I want to do, and it's a big goal I've been trying to do, don't build it up so much that I'm not even going to be able to get there. Like it's this imaginal thing that's amazing, perfect, whatever it is, and I just can't touch it. And I just got to remember, it's don't set it too high, do baby steps, and again, just show up and do the work. One thing they kind of talk about here as well is like fantasizing about pursuing art full-time. We fail to pursue it part-time. Again, that very much like resonates with me, because I'll think about doing the thing so much that I don't even have time to do the thing. And I just got to remember that just stop and do. I don't know how else to describe it really. And with that, yeah, procrastination about what comes next is an addiction to anxiety in lieu of action. I'm a big procrastinator, and I think it is a big thing about that fear and anxiety of, you know, having to write or doing the thing, or not being perfect or not being good or whatever it is. And it's just knowing that's the root cause of it and just trying to overcome it in real time, rather than realizing the next day while I'm doing morning page, I'll be like, oh, that's why I was delaying, or this is the reason why. The creative life is grounded in small steps and very limited large leaps. So again, like all these are like very similar like quotes and things like that, but again, it's about small steps And sometimes you might have these large steps, but not always. It's always going to be these little baby steps of action and things like that. Don't let tasks get in the way. It'll take longer if you let it. Yep, that's definitely me. Whether I do write a list, I've just got to do the hard thing first, get it out of the way, and then chip at everything else. And I think there's heaps of books around there like do the hardest thing first and all that kind of stuff. And I've just got to have that mentality. Like I know it, but still I let procrastination, the overthinking, whatever it is, I just let it just get in the way when it shouldn't, you know? And finally, about filling the forms, they fill the form with creative care until it overflows into a newer, larger form organically. So it's do the work daily, show up, and it will come. Make changes, make small changes, and the form will be filled. And before you know it, you have a fully written book. It's a very interesting way to think about it. It's a very common sort of way to think about it. But what I like about these types of books is they always try to reframe it in a new way or reframe it in their own way just to make it a little bit more relatable and things like that. And the whole idea about this book is about recovering a sense of creativity. So a lot of these kind of showing up, doing the work, not overwhelming yourself and things like that. So many different books that you can read that have an aspect of that. There's so many things that are out there that can help you and resources that you can do. Sometimes it just takes that fifth or sixth book to click and, resonate with you and be like, that makes total sense now. Or you just have to be in the right frame of mind to receive it. And the whole thing about The Artist's Way is about being open to receive it, being open to change, being open to think about things a little bit differently, which is always it's not a bad thing. And that's what I like about this. It's just making me think a little bit differently, making me do a little bit more deep dives, making me really get through those creative blocks and why I'm procrastinating or why I'm avoiding. And again, it's just about using the parts that resonate with you and actually put it into practice. And not just talking about it, I think is a big thing, is actually when you do the task or when I ask you to do an exercise, is actually putting it into practice. Sometimes they'll be for a week, sometimes they'll be ongoing. And Morning Pages is one of those practices that I've kept up for the full, well, not almost 12 weeks, this is week 8. And although I have been a journaler and an avid journaler for a few years, this has really helped me be a little bit more consistent, because I used to just be like, I can just skip, or I can just do a page where, you have to do 3 A4 or 6 A5s to actually get through everything that's bothering you or on your mind. And throughout this process, I've been able to write a little bit more creatively, or have ideas and things like that, or just get out my brain dump so then I can think about the next thing or move on to the next thing. And it's just making sure that you actually do the work in these exercises and not just read through and highlight and make it look pretty and take notes and film a video diary or whatever it is. I want to make sure I'm actually practicing the tools that it's given me so then I can be better at what it is I want to do and have less blocks or get through the blocks quicker, because I don't expect them to completely go away. But I know the whole idea about this is just to have those tools in my tool belt that when I do come across a block, I'll be like, I know exactly what that is and I can do this and this and this to overcome it. Or I'm feeling pretty crappy today, I know I'm going to have an artist date and that's going to make me feel better. So again, it's about understanding and knowing what it is that I can do to make sure that I have a free reign and a free run to write and be creative and not be stressed and not be worried and just have that creative flow happening. There wasn't many exercises in this particular chapter, but one of them was early patterning. So it's about discovering any early conditioning that you might have had as a kid. Did it change the way you thought about things? And one of the questions they asked was, as a kid, what did your parents think about art? And I think it's just very much something from maybe the 90s, or it could be just a generational thing or just something that parents want. They want you to get into university, or they want you to get into the workforce and make money so that you can buy a house and have kids and all that kind of thing. And when it was art, it always viewed as something that didn't make money or wasn't serious enough. And I remember when I was doing my degree at uni, even though I didn't finish the degree, and it's what job can you get out of that? And there's very much kind of a focus of how can you make an income, I guess, essentially. And it's just because it comes from a place of them wanting you to be taken care of and not have to worry and things like that. But again, it does really skew the way that you think about art or creative pursuits, and it kind of just, I guess, niggles in the brain a little bit when maybe that's why I've delayed writing for so long, or I haven't really been super creative in the last couple of years of my life. And it could just be, it doesn't make money, what's the point? Rather than being it's not about the money, it's about soothing the soul and doing the things that you want to do. With the other task, it's more of affirmations, which I'm never a stranger to. And they give you a list of affirmations. So it's just about choosing the ones that kind of resonate with you. Again, like affirmations for me, like I need them because I can very easily go down the path of like the I'm not good enough, like the confidence and all that kind of thing. So it just really helps reframe and just make sure I don't get in my head too much and be like, no, wait, I can do it. Or, you know, don't worry about what other people think, or don't worry about what the outcome and stuff will be. Is just enjoy the process and do the thing, and whatever happens, and just go with the flow. With the tasks itself, this is actually a really good one. So they called it goal search, and you answer quite a few different questions. And one of them was, in a perfect world, I would secretly love to be a ... And then the next one was, in a perfect world, where would I be in 5 years ... And then what could you do this year? And then what could you do this month, this week, this day? What could you do now? And again, it's just when you have that goal in mind, like how can you get there, whether it is baby steps. And that's kind of like what they talk about earlier on. It's just those little steps and stuff. So is there anything that I can do like now? Is there anything that I can do today in general, this week, this month, this year, that can really help that overall goal? If there is, then do it. I guess, do the work. And for me, obviously a big thing is I would love to be a writer and an author, a published author. And that's just something that I really want to try and work towards. I don't care if I'm going to be good. I don't care if it sells. Like I'm not expecting to be the next like J.K. Rowling. That's just a bit ridiculous for me. It's just something I need to make sure that I am working towards, because it's been on my brain for God knows how long. So I've got to just get it out there. I've got to just do it. And if I really enjoy the process, which I am enjoying the process, then yeah, who's to say that I can't write another book? So again, it's just like, what is the ultimate goal, and reframing it in a way that it is achievable and you can do it. You're in your own way of not doing it at all. Another task they talk about is about perfect nurturing. So what kind of person would I be if I did get that perfect nurturing? And then what kind of childhood would I have had if I did have that perfect nurturing and stuff as well? I think a lot of parents, obviously, because they want the best for their kids and they want them to be healthy and safe and have like a good income and have a good future and things like that. So usually when it comes to art, unless you have like super arty parents or parents that are very creative in that aspect, a lot of times that creative pursuit is more of thought as a hobby rather than a career. And not saying that my parents were like that, but I'm just thinking going back that, again, they're very much the blue collar, like what kind of like job can you get? Essentially. So again, it always comes from a place of love, but it wasn't super nurturing in that creative aspect. And maybe if they were, I would have probably still been, because I used to like paint quite a bit, or used to do a lot of like DIY stuff. Like I might still be doing that, or I could still be writing. And it's just, again, like I can't dwell on who I could have been. I can just dwell on, or not just dwell, but I can just accept who I am now and work with what I have and grow on what I have. Then it asks you to describe yourself as a color. It said to list 5 things you're not allowed to do, which is always a very interesting topic. Then it asks you to list 20 things you would like to do, and then create a table, which I did. So it's very, very messy. You can't really see it, but what I would like to do. And then, does it cost money or is it free? Is it expensive or is it cheap? Is it alone or with someone? Is it job related? Is there a physical risk? Is it like a fast or slow task? Or is it a mind, body, or spiritual thing? So I answered all those for all 20. And yeah, it's just really interesting. All of mine, only one was kind of job related, I guess. Everything else is more like personal related. And for physical risk, there was very minimal physical risk. So again, I'm quite like a safe-ish kind of person, so that could be saying something. And then fast and slow, it's quite a mix. And then a lot of mine were mind and spiritual. I said soul, but I meant spiritual. Not a lot for the body, only some for the body. But again, it's just a really interesting exercise, and it kind of just like breaks it down. Again, finding the barriers of like, well, if it doesn't cost anything and it's not super expensive and you can do it alone, or if you want to do it with someone, it's not job related, there's no physical risk, it's like a very slow kind of task and it's very good for, you know, mind, body, soul, whatever it is, then why aren't you doing it? I really liked that one. There was, I'm going to go back and see if there's anything that I can kind of do or add into my artist state. A lot of these tasks throughout the weeks gives me ideas to be like, oh, I'd love to do that. That would be fun to do. So it's just, again, great like idea generation to fuel the creativity and fuel the, you know, the weekends and just have interesting things to do. The next one was plan the ideal day in this current life, and then plan the ideal day with no restrictions. And then it's about choosing one festive aspect of the ideal day and then do it or do something close to it. So I really thought about this. So doing the ideal day now, I've just thought about if I was to have it tomorrow, what would I do? And again, it's just having like a really nice day out, like a very kind of like pampering kind of day, whether it's getting a massage or going for a float, getting my hair done, you know, going for a really nice long hike, going book shopping. This is like, yeah, ideal day. This is like, it'd be unlimited hours in the day. It'd be like a 12-hour day. I'm sure I'd be tired and would need a nap. But again, it's just about, you know, with everything I have now, what can I do? And it seemed pretty simple and it's pretty achievable and not super expensive, I don't think. So just something to think about that I can do. And then plan an ideal day with no restrictions. There was two. I kind of put one that was kind of like a travel kind of one. Like, you know, if you could travel for a few hours somewhere, that would be amazing. The other was just in Sydney and not having to worry about money and stuff like that. So I kind of, not cheat, but I kind of like did two, because obviously if you do travel somewhere, that's kind of like 2 days in a way. So I kind of just did like, well, if I was in another country or things like that, which would be pretty cool. So really decent exercises. Again, a lot of times just very much like a deep dive, and again, just trying to find hurdles, or just trying to find different ways to have artist dates, or just trying to find different inspiration to be creative and stuff like that. So I'm glad that I'm still with it. Week 9 is, well, essentially done. Like I said, I'm a little bit overdue for this particular video. So halfway through the week 9 stuff, and I'll probably film that video in a day or so as well and get that out there. But I'm kind of worried when the 12 weeks are done. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Am I going to still stick with the morning pages? Am I going to still have artist date? Like, I really want to. I think they're very good, and it's good to be not always so codependent with my partner and having our solo date days for ourselves, or just doing something that fuels the inner child or fuels the inner creative, and it's very handy. So I know we'll definitely keep doing those. But yeah, I wonder what happens after the 12 weeks. Maybe I'll go back and read through everything. Who knows? Maybe I've wrote pretty much everything down from the last couple of weeks, and maybe I'll start digitizing everything. I just want to make sure that I'm still doing the practice and still doing the work when it comes to finishing the artist way, which is not that far away. With the check-in, with morning pages, I did 6 out of 7, which is good. I did 2 evening ones, but I'm very happy that I got 6 done, which is good. And again, I'm just trying to keep up with that. Eventually I'll get to that 7 and do that daily work and that daily practice with diving into my thoughts or whatever it is. But 6 out of 7 I'm stoked with, very happy with that. For the artist date, I went to the local botanical gardens. It was very nice there. It was a beautiful sunny day. Got a really, really nice coffee, and I just wrote for a little bit. Then I went for a really nice hour-long walk, and it's very hilly, so it's kind of like a little bit of exercise, but I was taking photos and just trying to be very, very present. And I know I've talked about it before, but that's why I really like taking my camera and practicing some photography, and because that helps me be present and be in the moment rather than thinking about the next thing that it is that I have to do. And that's very much something that I'll do. I'll be like, well, even now I'm like, all right, once I finish this video, I've got to upload it and then edit, and then I've got to do this task and I've got to do this. And I just have to bring everything back and just be present and just remember that it's a beautiful day. I don't need a rush. I have plenty of time. And when I do that, I feel way more rested. And I know I've had a really, really enjoyable day. So any synchronicity this week? So more strategy planning when it came to the creative writing, and I did some writing through the morning pages, which was good, and I'm really trying to use that a little bit more. So I'll try to get the brain dump out of the way, or just make sure I'm not repeating too much of the same thing or the same worries or concerns, and I'm just diving into it and then being able to move on. So a little bit more creative writing, which is good. And I really pushed through. So I really didn't feel a lot of not a lot of inspo, but just like motivation to either do morning pages or to write. So I really pushed through it, which was good, and I'm happy I did that. And again, it's just understanding that when these blocks come up and when they do happen, having those tools to overcome them quicker rather than letting it just upheave your whole day and just not get anything done. So just learning to be able to push through a little bit better. And then any issues, so low energy. What else did I have here? Yeah, so it's just, Saturday and Sunday was very, very tired, but again, like still did my artist date, still did some writing, still pushed through, and it's just knowing when I do have low energy, just doing those 1 or 2 extra things to make me feel that little bit better. So then when Monday does roll around, I'm not super stressed, or I do have like a better handle on what's going to come up for the week. I feel like I'm getting better with overcoming hurdles and overcoming the barriers, and if there are any issues, I'm just understanding them a little bit more and where they're coming from, and then knowing that the artist date or the time that I spend for myself on the weekend is really important to maintain my full cup, or maybe like half full cup, whatever it is. It's just making sure it's not completely empty, that I do have enough energy to give to myself and then give to others around me, and just being really, really conscious of that. So recovering a sense of strength. Thank you, week 8. I got some good tools out of that one. So yeah, week 8, recovering a sense of strength. done and dusted and on to the next one. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.